The interstate system is an incredibly impressive feat of engineering and infrastructure. No matter who you are, there's no denying how crazy it is. But some interstates are not as great and awesome as others, wasting valuable government dollars in construction and upkeep. So today I've created the second installment of the most useless interstates saga. Before this video starts, please do consider subscribing to the channel. I make geography content like this every week, so if you're interested in that kind of stuff, just please hit the red button down below. Thank you. So let's start off with the good one, going straight to our good friend New York. This time we aren't going for the city, but instead Kingston, a city further north on the Hudson River. This town is home to the beautiful I-587, a 1.4 mile spur route connecting I-87 to the downtown. Now at first glance you'd have no idea you're on an interstate, because I-587 starts at a roundabout near the toll plaza for I-87. Then makes its way east with a 45 mile per hour speed limit, encountering 0 interchanges or intersections on its way. It then ends at another roundabout with Albany Avenue, where it then turns into Broadway. Now if you're following here, this would take around a minute 30 to travel, with 0 intersections going into a shrinking town of 23,000 people. A totally useless interstate. But if you think that's bad, it gets even worse. See, I-587 doesn't actually technically connect to I-87 because it ends on the east side of the toll plaza there. So not only is this interstate stupid, it's not even connected to the interstate it's spurring off of. While we're here though, Kingston has a lot of this type of stuff going on. There's also Highway 9, which seems to very badly want to be a freeway, having interchanges 1,000 feet away from traffic lights with unimportant roads. It then ends in the same way every freeway that wanted to go further does, with this half exit thing they built while they were constructing the rest of it. There's also a really weird ramp on the Route 209 Enterprise Drive interchange, where it goes along with the road without actually merging in for far too long, and I have basically no explanation for why this is. Anyways, just a bunch of stuff that felt interesting to mention. But if I have to, I guess I'll move on from Kingston. Next we move to Burlington, Vermont, where we find a really fun one in I-189. This 1.5 mile spur route connects I-89 up to the commercial district of the southern Burlington area. Now let's start off by taking this at face value. Why would you need an interstate to connect to what is not even downtown Burlington, but instead a road at the south end of the city limits? It would make way more sense to just build a boulevard connecting the two, but instead they built this. Well, obviously like a lot of interstates that don't make sense, there's a story behind this, and an interesting one at that. So originally it was built up to connect into the industrial district of Burlington just south of the downtown. This is about 2 miles further than the road made it, because by the time they finally built it to Shelburne Road, the city had started to leave behind its industrial past in favor of tourism, so it wasn't really needed anymore. But unlike a lot of these stories, it does actually have a good ending, because as of June 2022, construction finally started on a new parkway that will bring the road another 1.1 miles before connecting into city roads. This will bring traffic away from US 7 and overall probably make the area a lot better. Next we have I-115 in Butte, Montana. This is a 1.2 mile spur route connecting I-15 to the downtown of Butte. Now, through the first 3 roads I've talked about, you may sense a theme. Short connector roads between major interstates and small cities. With Butte, the population is 34,000, and it's a pretty stagnant mining town. So in this case, it's pretty simple. Butte doesn't need a spur route into the downtown. It's not large, it doesn't have a lot of traffic, and the amount of money spent on the road really could be used elsewhere. Now the result of this is a pretty empty interstate, making it one of the least used interstates in the country by ADT. Plus, just to make things worse, it's an incomplete interchange with I-15. Meaning you can only access it going east on I-15. The last interesting thing about it is that for the last 0.4 miles, there's a really thin and short median that isn't really up to interstate standards. It's really just a boulevard for a third of the route. So yeah, I-15 sucks, but don't let that take you away from the fact that Butte is an awesome city, definitely worth visiting. The next 2 I want to talk about are a little different, but I felt like it needed to be mentioned. Starting with I-97, the shortest 2-digit interstate in the country. This highway is 18 miles, going from South Baltimore to Annapolis. Basically, I think this is perfect to be a 3-digit interstate. It's connecting a major metropolitan area to a less major one. As a road, it's completely fine. I just think I-97 being a 2-digit interstate doesn't make much sense. If you're planning to expand it further, make it a 3-digit interstate and then switch it when you've made decent progress. But right now it doesn't make any sense that it would be I-97 when there are many other highways that would fit this name way better. Another one like this is I-76 in Colorado. So it's a lot longer at 197 miles, but I have a really good argument for why it should be changed. Basically, the only reason people use it is to connect I-80 westbound to Denver. People really only use it for that reason. So it would make for a really good I-180, maybe the best one in the country, finally getting rid of the curse that is that interstate number. But no, they use I-76, which is already an interstate that goes from Ohio to New Jersey. It's just frustrating because I know it would make for a great spur route. In fact, I've traveled on it around a week ago for this exact reason when I went to Colorado. A trip that should help me making a front range video within the next year or so, by the way. Also, gas is way more expensive in Colorado than where I'm from. Real eye-opener. Gas prices, they're at historic highs. Every mile saved is money back in your pocket. Not only that, but 72% of economics predict a recession next year, according to CNN. With that on the horizon, 85% of money managers for the richest people in the world are recommending a new safe haven asset, one that isn't necessarily affected by downturns. I'm talking about contemporary art, paintings from legends like Picasso, Warhol, and Herring. This art has a near zero correlation to other typical investments, which means when their value takes a dip, your art investments may not. Don't just take it from me, Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, and JP Morgan have all celebrated art for its potential to defend your wealth and therefore your future. But if you don't have millions of dollars to throw around, how can you invest in art? That's where Masterworks saw an opportunity to help people, and they're doing it in a genius way. They buy these same multi-million-dollar paintings and then break them into shares, so you can invest in just a portion of these actual masterpiece paintings. That way, you get art benefits without breaking the bank. Masterworks has over 500,000 users to date and over $500 million under management. I wouldn't recommend anything I don't trust myself, and these guys have an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. If you want to sign up for Masterworks, they have a wait list, but you can skip it by clicking the link in the description. Next we have I-794 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, one that takes us back to the history a bit more. So basically, I-794, also known as the Lake Freeway, goes from the Marquette interchange on the west side of the downtown, then moves as the south boundary to the Central Business District. It then takes a right turn to the lake before going over a bridge and then continuing just a little bit further before ending randomly. Now, the freeway goes on further as a state highway before just ending near the airport for no apparent reason. I'm no detective, but this looks like a job done by Freeway Revolts. All it takes is a simple Google search, and sure enough, the Lake Freeway was designed to be the eastern leg of an inner loop around downtown Milwaukee, to extend along the lakefront south from the Park Freeway to Bayview and southeastern Milwaukee, and then through the southeastern suburbs, with the proposed extension to run much further south through central Racine and Kenosha, Wisconsin, continuing further through Chicago's northeastern lakefront suburbs, where a portion of the proposed freeway was constructed and is today the Interstate Standards section of the Lakeshore Drive in Chicago. Besides Lakeshore Drive, the only portion of this system that was completed to Interstate Standards is the 2-mile portion of Interstate 794. Although a portion of the route south of the official southern terminus of Interstate 794 continues as a 4-lane divided controlled access freeway as the Lake Parkway. So folks, there we have it on that one. Finally, we have I-195 in Old Orchard Beach, Maine. Now this is a bit of a confusing one, because if you've never heard of Old Orchard Beach, you're not alone. It's a small beach town of just 9,000 people, located south of the Portland Metro. This highway actually serves the larger town of Saco and its industrial district a little bit more, but in the end, it's just going straight to Old Orchard Beach. Now, the area gets popular in the summertime, but definitely not popular enough to warrant a whole 2-mile freeway just to connect it up to I-95. Another one where you could easily just make a boulevard and it would work fine. But because the 1960s America was so crazed with making freeways and interstates, they chose this option instead. So that's my list for you today. There's a lot of interstates out here like this, and the history of the system is so awesome. So if you're ever bored, there's a lot of stuff out there to find, which is one of my favorite parts of the interstate system. Thanks for watching. Thank you to the members this week: Zeus, Karen Hudson 81, love you Karen, Haystack, Benjamin Whiting, Ryan Devins, Hazev the Wolf, Jake Holloway, Somnam Woods, JL, Jeremy Crone, Carport, Dominic Psyche, Rosebud 4, and Bryson. All of these people are giving me money on a monthly basis because they appreciate the videos. If you would like to become a member, the link is in the description below, as well as the join button next to the subscribe button. All this money is going straight into my college savings, so you know it's not going to a bad cause. It's really just helping me save for the future. Thank you.